I am very excited to be sharing this video with you guys about water leak detection and automatic mitigation. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I've been super excited to do this video. I've been looking for water leak detectors since we got the motorhome originally, almost a year ago now. And I really got hung up on the idea of having HomeKit automation, which is Apple's ecosystem, versus like Alexa or Google. And that really held me back on making progress, honestly. I wanted things like when we both leave the house, automatically turn off the water, stuff like that. But I got over that, and I finally found this company who makes an amazing array of sensors and valves and all kinds of stuff, really. The door's wide open now on and everything I can do. And this solution is really good for homeowners in addition to RV owners. So the leak detection and mitigation is open to everybody, really. And it's very affordable. It's not hard to set up at all. The smartphone app is great. The hardware feels quality. So I'm just going to share in this video how we set up leak sensors all over the house. And we also set up some temperature and humidity sensors as well. And that's going to help us stay on top of potential temperature issues as we slide into this cold Nebraska winter this season. And some automation that we could possibly do with that as well. So keep watching and we'll dive into how this works, what it is, and what we're going to do with it. So this is the various hardware we bought in differing quantities. I just wanted to show the different pieces. Each site needs one hub, and I'll explain more about what the hub is for, but you do need one hub regardless of how many or how few devices you purchase. We got a motorized valve, and we'll talk about that in depth and why we got that. That is kind of the linchpin of why I wanted the leak detection to some extent. We got some temperature and humidity sensors. These are handy as we go into the winter season in Nebraska, as well as humidity in the house. Several leak sensors as well. I'll show you where we put some of those and how it fits into the overall system. And then the hub itself plugs into the network. I did wired. It has wired and it has wireless. And the reason for that is it allows the system to reach out and get firmware updates for all the devices, and the hub is that central brain for the whole system. It needs internet access, but it does not talk to the other devices over wireless. The standard Wi-Fi, it talks over a different wireless technology that I'll elaborate on at the end of this video. I plugged it into our hub that you can see here. I also set it up on wireless on our network, hoping it would not create a bridge loop, and it did not, but I wanted that kind of failover possibility. And this is a water leak sensor. It's got detectors on top and then 4 on the bottom. And then this will trigger a leak alert in the system. This is a temperature and humidity sensor sitting in the freezer. There are several of these around the house. Another location, we have one of each. You can see on either side of the aqua in that bay. Also in the sewer dumping bay, we've got one of each. And then this is the motor up close, the motorized valve, water valve. So I'll show how that works and how we put it together, and then put it all together at the end to demonstrate how it functions together. When you first get it, it has these caps on either side of the inlet outlet. And it comes with 3 different thread sizes. I just kind of picked one and then went to the hardware store and bought valves that fit it, and then out to a garden hose. So you do have to connect this appropriately for your setup and your configuration at your house or at your RV. For us, it is a water hose in and out. I ended up using the thread tape on these and had to take a couple passes to keep it from leaking. But I put more and more thread tape until I could get it tight enough not to leak at all. This is the power connection. So there's a battery pack here. There's a 2-year and a 10-year valve option. I think this is the 10-year one. So you put that together, and now it's got power. And then the silver button on top is a manual trigger. You just saw my thumb press that. It will open or close the valve each time you press it. You can see through the valve here, through the tubing here that it closes and opens, and that's how that works. Here we have it all hooked up outside. We've got the new motorized water valve connected to the spigot, down to the Y splitter, and off to the water pressure regulator and into the house. Here's a quick tour of the setup outside. We have our standard water pressure regulator, an upgraded Y splitter for reasons that I won't go into on this video. And then we have the water valve and its associated battery pack in line. This is the piece that will turn off the water outside as soon as a leak is detected by any of our 8 water detectors inside the house and in the basement at all the right locations. This is just a screenshot of the smartphone app showing all the devices once they've been added. Really easy to do. And then I'm going to walk through quickly setting up an automation for one leak sensor so that if it senses water, then it turns the motorized water valve to the closed position. And you do have to create an automation for each sensor so that it will send a signal if a leak is detected at any of the locations to that water valve and close the water valve automatically. It's a neat system and setup is pretty simple. All right, so let's see this thing in action. Stuff like this is just a neat idea till you see it actually work. So we've got this leak sensor from the house. It can detect leaks on top or the bottom. I'm going to put it down here in the Y valve. I'm going to create a slow drip so that it can fall onto the sensor. And you'll see that as soon as the sensor is triggered, you'll hear the motor in the valve start to run. As it closes the water valve forming, with no action by me, we'll see the water stop running here on this Y splitter. A little bit of residual dripping out, but the water is turned off. That may have taken a little longer than I expected, but it's still better than running for hours and hours while you sleep, or if you're away and forgot to turn the water off. So this again is the battery pack for the motorized valve that is now installed in line for the water into the house. A side benefit I never thought about until we had this in place was I made a YouTube short on applying plumber's grease to the seal on the bottom of the toilet when it stops holding water. And now I can open the app and close the water outside and clean that valve and then reopen the water valve without going outside, turning the water off, coming inside and doing it. It should cut the time it takes to do this in half. It's minor, but it's a nice help. This company sells other devices beyond what we purchased. This example is an outdoor rated power strip. They also have an indoor rated power strip. But with this, you could take a temperature sensor and say if temperature reaches 32 degrees, then turn on this power strip. And you could have a space heater plugged in, for example, if you had an area that needs to be heated when it gets below freezing. So we have a couple spots like this. Today we have manually remote controlled power strips, but this could be a way we could automate that and reduce risk of forgetting to do that when it gets cold. Keep in mind, if you're going to buy the YoLink solution, you need one hub, regardless of how many or few other devices you buy from them. The hub is the central communications brain for the system, and you do need one of those. But once you get that hub, you can add the other pieces. They're very inexpensive relative to what's on the market, and they work really, really well. Not for the technical stuff. My friend Eric Holstein had introduced me to the LoRa WAN protocol probably a couple years ago when he was working on a project involving that. I didn't know anything about it at the time, but basically it was developed with the Internet of Things in mind, so that basically it reaches about 4 times further than Wi-Fi and other wireless technologies of today, and it uses way lower power. So these devices can last for years and years on a battery. Each sensor, each device, there's way more than what I've shown you here available. The company is YoSmart, YoSmart.com, and you can read more on their website, but we bought all of these things from them, and they leverage this LoRa, LoRa, long-range wireless technology, because it penetrates concrete and steel where wireless doesn't do so well with that, and it goes much, much further. So you won't have any range issues related to all these devices using that network. So you saw me plug in the hub to the internet, but that's basically to give it access to download firmware for all the other devices on the network. But from the hub out to all the other devices, they talk to each other over this LoRa protocol. So even if your power drops completely, your internet is down, these sensors will still sense, and if they see a water leak, they will still send a signal to the motorized water valve and close it. So even in a power outage, even in an internet outage, this equipment continues to work. I think that's very cool because it is, if you're installing this, you consider a water leak critical for your application and you want this stuff to work, and it does. So that's my review of what we've done and kind of a little bit more technical information behind the technology and why it's different than Wi-Fi. And if you're interested, check the comments below. I'll have a link to their website. As always, if our content is valuable at all, please like and subscribe. Check out the Instagram, also under Traveling with Troy and Rhoda.